Good afternoon, everyone. Your next speaker this afternoon is Carla Murphy. When I sat down with Carla to learn a little bit more about her, to do this introduction, one of the things that she said is that she was a project manager for Clyson's. She mentioned that she was a wife, mother to 2 cats. But one of the things that struck me was that she, first and foremost, was an athlete her whole life and has a huge compassion for other people. And this is a little bit about her story, and I hope you like it.
Thanks, Dwayne. I wanted to start off by, going through my experience and what's created the passion that I have. One day I was sitting at home in 2007, and I was going through the mail, and I had just finished doing a year's worth of personal training, and was kind of thinking to myself, I need another carrot, something that I can work towards and have a goal. And I got this flyer from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society on marathon training and half marathon training, and it was to help find a cure for leukemia, which is the #1 killer of children today. So I went to this meeting to learn more about it, and was very inspired by every speaker. Felt a lot of different emotions when I went through it, listening to survivors, listening to people who've lost loved ones, and decided that I had a perfectly healthy body, so why couldn't I do something to help them? So that's when my journey began. So that was in 2007. I started to train weekly, 6 to 10 hours a week, doing up to 36 kilometers a week to train for my 43K marathon. Throughout my training, I injured myself. Ended up doing physio 2 to 3 times a week, and started to do fundraising for the society as well. We had a minimum of $5,000 to raise because the marathon was in Maui, so they needed to have only 10% of the costs associated going to getting the runners or walkers to the marathon. So I put on a speedboat racing at my office where we bought a bunch of speedboats and did a stampede luncheon and had all of the customers donate money to race the speedboats in our retention pond. And so in the end, I was successful in raising $6,300 for my marathon versus the $5,000 that was required. Race day was pretty emotional, pretty moving. As you're going along, it was 3:30 in the morning when we started. It was 27 degrees out already in Hawaii, and you felt a lot of different emotions going along, and there was times where I was pissed off at the people driving past me, where I was happy for them, where I was crying. Mile marker 30, my husband came up and seen me. I started bawling. He's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just so happy." And I was sore. It was very uncomfortable. And there was a woman that passed me right around 36 when I was thinking maybe I wanted to give up, and on the back of her shirt it's a 22-year survivor, and I was completely energized by that, and it took me right to the end, and it was one of the most remarkable things I've ever done in my entire life. So since then, every year I do something for some sort of disease, whether running, walking, looking at cycling, and I'll continue to do so for the rest of my life.
Well, in closing, I'd like to personally thank you. My sister actually lost her son at 13 from leukemia, so that's kind of touches home for me, and that's real good. And if I wasn't so chubby, I'd probably do that too. But I do donate to leukemia myself every Christmas, actually, instead of sending gifts to my family. But on our behalf, I appreciate what you do, and all of us definitely have dealt with cancer in our lives somewhere along the line. Touches absolutely every one of us somewhere, so good job.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our next speaker is going to be talking on a subject that is actually fairly new with the new legislation rules that have come in. It's in regards to cell phone usage while driving. I'd like to introduce my good friend, Aaron Mitzel from Colville.
Thanks, Dave. Thank everybody for coming in. My name is Aaron Mitzel. I am the safety manager for our A-Line Trucking, and part of my job is to delegate and let our drivers know what legislation is about. 3 things I'd like to talk to you about today in my presentation are new legislation, company policy, and then I want to share some experiences with you and get you to buy into some of the value behind what the government is trying to have us do as far as our cellular telephone legislation is. So January 1st, 2010, what the government introduced to us was a ban on basically talking on your cellular phone while driving. You can use the hands-free devices to talk, but as far as having the phone up to your head while you're driving now is considered illegal. It's a $280 fine if you're caught, and 4 demerit points will go onto your driver's license. They did some research into it, and what they've discovered that by doing this, by not having the phone up to your ear, they figure that collisions will be reduced by 28%, is what they're hoping to accomplish. So what they want to do is get you to buy in to the fact that the numbers are going to drop. And they want you to take some responsibilities and keep your mind on task, right? And the task is driving. The other thing I'd like to talk about is our policy with our own company, and we've introduced this in 2002, so we were actually proactive on the cellular telephone because we knew the problem did exist. While you are in the process of loading or unloading fluid, you cannot be texting or receiving or placing a call on your phone. The other thing you cannot be doing is within 23 meters of a storage facility, like such as a battery or a field location, your single well tanks, or a wellhead itself, because of the static that you could cause. Everybody that drives for a company has to have a message manager system on their cell phone. So if you are loading or unloading and your telephone rings, it goes straight to your voicemail. Check your voicemail and return the call is what we like to see done. Penn West and Nexon are the 2 biggest companies we work for. They took it one step farther. If we are driving on a Nexon or a Penn West lease, your vehicle cannot be in motion at all while you're talking. So if your phone rings, use your message manager system, pull off to a safe place where you can, and return the call. They use the 2-ring system. If you're driving down the road and your phone rings, after it rings 2 or 3 times, hang up and phone the number back again. The person will realize that it is an emergency or that the call has to be made, so they'll pull over and return the call sooner. And that kind of that does go with their mics as well, as far as the CB radios that the trucks have in them. Okay. One thing I forgot to talk about in the legislation point was iPods, GPSs, and satellite radios are not affected by the legislation, so you can still physically change the channel on your GPS or your satellite radio or use other things like that. To me, driving is something we earn, something we work hard to keep. It's not a privilege. It's something we have to work at every year. And I don't understand why some people would want to take chances in their ability to drive by using the cellular telephone. Some of the things that I've seen in my job, we had a driver pull onto a location. He was talking on the phone. They just put a new well into position, and there was some well cribbing around there. It was a clear, sunny day. He actually drove over the well cribbing, and what it did is it damaged basically the underside of his truck. It dented the tanks. It caused a big problem. The end result was basically the driver got reprimanded because he went against policy, but Penn West wanted him off our lease. Touching one was our safety coordinator. He went to Wilkie, a small town, to watch his nephew play hockey. When the game was over, the family, it's a large family, they traveled in 3 different vehicles. It was about 10:30 at night. It was kind of a stormy winter night. And the safety coordinator and his cousin were in the first vehicle, and they come to the next town, which is Unity, and there was no more traffic coming. So I thought, oh, okay, there's car trouble. So they turned around, and when they came back, what they discovered was there was a hill. There was a girl, which I know the family. She was texting while she was driving, is what they figured the conclusion was. She was famous for doing it. She wandered across the center of the road and hit the Suburban that the safety coordinator's other uncle and friends were traveling in. She was killed instantly. The people in the Suburban were hurt, but not to any extent that they couldn't continue on. My message today is to please drive safe, take your time, respect the roads, and get home to your families. Thank you.
Aaron, thanks a lot for a great topic, great subject that I think affects every one of us here. We all have cell phones, and the message is clear. It's just unsafe to do it. Don't do it. Thanks a lot, Aaron.